50 Years a Slave. That's the name of this podcast, right?
50 years of slavery. Yep. 50-year mortgage. How to feel like you're owning as a renter.
See, the Bible said.
Or how to feel like you're renting as an
him.
owner. You said what?
The Bible says to own no man but to love him.
Yep.
I don't think the mortgage company gonna take love as a payment, though.
Yeah. I mean, if you really nice when you call on the phone and you got, good manners and everything, then that 50-year mortgage, might not seem so bad. I'm gonna just have to say it like that throughout this whole podcast. It's that 50-year mortgage. It's what we're discussing.
Oh. Please don't say it like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a 50-year mortgage. Goodness.
30 years is a life sentence in jail is 25, ain't it?
Is it? I thought it was 40 years.
Is it 40? Okay.
I don't know.
So your uncle could go to prison and get out, and you still ain't paying
your mortgage. Yeah.
Forgive me, y'all. I'm not trying to make light of this because they are touting this as something that can open the door to so many more people for home ownership.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. So, and I had to Google it real quick because I was just curious. So it said it kind of depends from state to state, but there are life sentences that will allow parole after a minimum period such as 25 years. So you could serve 25 years on a life sentence and then get parole. So someone could do 2 life sentences. Sometimes it takes you to pay your mortgage.
Oh Lord! Soon as they let you out of jail, you go kill somebody and get put in jail for life again.
And when you get out, your uncle just finished paying off his mortgage.
You can go live with him because you ain't gonna be able to rent nowhere with that kind of record. But
this is
what you say is rent to own a home. What did you call it?
Well, when you own your home, but you feel like you're renting or something like that.
Yes.
Like, yeah, it's so this all stemmed from a comment made by our commander-in-chief, Mr.
I don't like it when folks get to being all inclusive when they're talking about him. I'm a Canadian citizen. Did I tell you that?
Oh, did you?
I switched over.
Oh man, that is beautiful. That is awesome.
Your commander.
My commander-in-chief, yeah, my president, El Presidente. Yeah, we all gonna be speaking Spanish in a minute. That'll confuse them. But no, it's
I don't know who to send out.
But no, it's so he floated a comment because obviously home ownership and home affordability has been an issue, right? So people can't afford a home, and he was like, "Oh, you know what? Rather than addressing this from the angle that everybody else has been addressing it, hey, we need to have, find a way to make more affordable housing, maybe get interest rates down." He was like, "No, you know what? 50-year mortgages. Let's push this. Let's just make it a longer period of time so we can space those payments out." And it's so just to give some context, adding another 20 years onto a 30-year mortgage might decrease your monthly mortgage payment by like $300. Obviously this is depending on the purchase price of the home, but it might decrease your mortgage and the interest rate you're getting, but it might decrease your mortgage payment like $300, $400. Meanwhile, you could go from paying, and this is on a $310,000 home, because that's the example that I looked up. You go from paying $384,000 in interest, which is still a lot of interest because you pay more interest than what the actual cost is of the home if you take this thing all the way out to 30 years. So on a 30-year mortgage, you would go from paying about $384,000 in interest on a $310,000 home to if you had a 50-year loan, now you could be paying about $717,000 worth of interest. So, and that's just the interest. That's not the home. That's just the interest that you pay in addition to that 300. So you add that 717 to that 310.
$1 million.
Yeah. You are
$1 million.
You are well over $1 million on that $300,000 home. It's like, see, tell me how to make a case for renting without making a case for renting. Like telling homeowners, hey, at the end of it all, you're going to end up paying $1 million for this $300,000 home, or you could just rent from me for the rest of your life. Because, you know, your life is going to be about the same by the time you get done paying off this 50-year mortgage. You might be about 1 foot in the grave, depending upon when you started out paying on that mortgage. I mean, you got some people that are buying homes when they're in their 50s. You'd be 100 years old by the time that mortgage gets paid off. I mean,
yeah. So rather than address the interest rates, because you and I were talking about this not even an hour ago, to take the interest rate down 1 percentage point, 1% would be equivalent to still saving on the same $310,000 house. You could save the same amount as dragging it out an additional 20 years.
An additional 20 years, almost, yeah, because that 1% difference would save you on that $300,000 mortgage would save you about $200 a month on your mortgage payment. And you're only going to save about $300 on your mortgage payment by dragging it out for 20 more years. So,
and you're going to pay double the interest that you would have.
And you're paying double the interest.
So that savings that you're doing per year with the time value of money is going to be worth absolutely nothing by the time you get to year 50.
Exactly.
Unless you're really doing something. Now, let's say that this money that you're saving, you're putting it in an interest-bearing account every year, then sure. But who's going to do that? Nobody. Because this is a way to make people who they're saying really can't afford home ownership to begin with. So they're not going to put this money aside. It's going to be used for things like food, you know, the rising cost of utilities. That's what it's going to go towards. It's so to me, this is one of those ways that there's going to be so many more real estate owned, bank owned properties.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you don't pay it all the way out, or, you know, if they foreclose in year 40, that's really going to be, because at that point, you've already paid for the house twice. So, you know, the original. And so the bank wins. Yes, the bank wins either way. And I just don't understand. Like, I'm a huge proponent of, if it's not broken, don't fix it. And so, you know, when it was Roosevelt or Carter or whoever it was that came out with a 30-year mortgage to begin with, and people thought he was crazy. But now your president has come out with a 50-year mortgage. And as much as we're talking about it, there are still going to be gobs of people who do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what I mentioned earlier, it was like, you know what? It feels like you're renting, even though you own. Because if this mortgage is 50 years, it's like, at least at 30 years, you know what? You purchase your first home in your 20s, purchase your first home in your 30s, 40s even. You know, it's like, okay, you know what? I can get this thing paid off. Maybe throw a little extra towards the principal. But if it's a 50-year mortgage, it's like you feel like you own, but you're really renting, you know? It's how would you like to, you know, feel like you own, but you still take care of all your maintenance as if you were renting, essentially? It's like, how would you like to just continue? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me to pay $1 million for a $300,000 asset and keep paying it into the future. To me, it's kind of like buying stock. if you've ever bought stock, there's a lot of future valuation that's baked into the stock price. So, for example, if you pick a company, any company, if that company all of a sudden were to invent something that's going to make them extremely more valuable, even though they haven't started generating the money, but based off of what the predictions are for how much more money they're going to make in the future, based on whatever it is that they currently have, the capability or will have the capability to do, their stock price is going to shoot up. It's like if Tesla is going to come out with a fully autonomous fleet and they have the capability to be able to do it by end of next year, it's not going to be end of next year when their stock price is going to shoot up. It's going to shoot up today because people are anticipating that, the value of Tesla is going to become hugely much more, and so you see the stock price go up. But I feel like that's kind of like what would be happening with houses. It's like you're going to be paying forever for this house based on, it, and there is no future valuation there. You have no idea what the houses are going to be worth.
Not a million. I can tell you that right now. Nothing that you pay for $300,000 today is going to be worth $1 million. 50 years, 100 years, no kind of years that pass is it ever going to be worth $1 million. Okay.
So I got another one for you. So let's say that you buy that home with that 50-year mortgage, right? And you get a home that was built in 2000. Not too old, but home that was built in 2000, which you get it today in 2025. So now you got a 50-year mortgage. By the time you pay that house off, that house is 75 years old. You didn't get the all brick, you got the vinyl siding. You got the stucco, you got the whatever else, so that house is 75 years old by the time you pay it off. What's the resale value on that thing? I'm just curious, because that house it was 25 years old when you got it. It's 75 years old when you pay it off. You gonna will it to your kids? I mean, what are they gonna get for it?
They don't want that.
Yeah.
Money pit. The whole house shake every time you flush the upstairs toilet. Stop it.
I have no idea, like, other than you buying a new construction and living in it, and then it's 50 years old by the time you pay it off. I mean, I think the new game plan is gonna have to be finding ways to get your mortgage paid off sooner, because you can't spend 50 years of your life paying off a mortgage. You might as well keep renting. Like what you say all the time is like, you will own nothing and be happy.
That's what I was about to say. You took the words right out of my mouth. That's the plan of the man. You will own nothing and be happy. Because think about it, being a homeowner is not just paying my mortgage. I mean, a part of that is, but being a homeowner means that at some point I realistically am going to, for sure, flat out, other than taxes and insurance, own my home. I'm never going to owe another payment, a mortgage payment again. And it's realistic to happen in my lifetime. That's what being a homeowner means. It's not just, I can paint the walls or plant a tree or redo the bathroom and don't have to ask my landlord. Like it means that the significance of being a homeowner means that at some point I will not have to ever pay at least that amount every month. But with this 50-year mortgage, that realistic possibility, it goes away. The only benefit I could see is if I got it. And then, and you and I had even talked about this in a prior episode when we were comparing 15 and 30-year mortgages. If I got a 50-year mortgage and then I paid it off in 15 or even 30, because I'm putting more towards it, the benefit that gives me is, say I have a 6-month slump, I'm self-employed the whole time and sales are kind of down. I can benefit from the fact that this month I'm not going to pay my extra $1,000 or whatever. And they're not going to foreclose on my home because I don't have the extra 1,000, right? Or like I was saying, if you get this 50-year mortgage and then you're putting this other money into that you're saving, if it's $300 less per year, then I'm putting at minimum $3,600 in an interest-bearing account, Roth IRA, some other form of annuity, or, you know, even a stock or whatever. And at the end of this 30, 50 years, not only do I have my house to will to my kids, but I also have bukus of money set aside for whoever comes after me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the likelihood of that happening, because they're not, mind you, they're not advertising this to people who can afford.
Oh no, people who can afford to buy a home, they're going to go buy a home. They're going to get
A 15 or 30 year.
Yeah, they're going to get a 30-year mortgage. They're going to get prime pricing on their interest rates. You know, they might put a large down payment down so their payment's even smaller, and then they can just wipe out that debt whenever they feel like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is being advertised to people who can't afford, because it was presented as a solution to the affordable housing crisis that we have, which means that people who can't afford a home, your solution is to pay for it even longer, and we'll just stretch those payments out. And I don't see that benefiting anyone except lenders and maybe the government. But it's like, I just don't, because lenders, obviously, me being one, make money. Well, I'm not a lender, I'm a loan officer, but they make money on loaning money. So if people aren't borrowing money, then, you know, lenders aren't making money. So, you know, they make money off of people borrowing money and everything. So I just don't see I don't see what the end game is, I guess you could say, other than, you know, to hurt
you will
people.
Own nothing and be happy. You already said it. What you mean you don't know what the end game is?
Yeah. I like to call it the widow maker. We'll call it the new 50-year mortgage. We'll just dub it the widow maker, because, you know, if you married, one of y'all gonna be dead by the time they'll pay this thing off. So
yes, ma'am. You want to know the options of loans that we have? Sure. We have the 15-year, the 20-year, the 25-year, the 30-year, and the widowmaker. Which one would you like? Oh God.
Widowmaker. What's the payment on that widowmaker? Oh, I can save a couple $100.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Well, you know, statistically, women live longer than men anyways. So, you know.
That woman ain't gonna know what to do with that house when that man ain't around. Lord have mercy. He need to be here.
Yeah, it's like,
gosh.
The guy ain't gonna be there to see the thing get paid off. He gonna be like, I rented for my whole life, and then she got the home, and I ain't even around here to say what's gonna happen to it.
I'm just gonna haunt the house. You know, you know that there was not an affordable housing crisis just 5 years ago during the pandemic around that time. Even though the houses had went significantly up in value, it really didn't. 2021, 2022 is really when we started seeing the significant uptick in value because of the uptick in demand that happened in 2020. But because the interest rates were so much lower, there was no you know, at that point when the interest rates went so much lower, people who couldn't get approved before, there were bidding wars everywhere, but they were able to afford a decent house. Yeah. And now you have, you know, what cost $300,000 in Atlanta, not even to mention Atlanta, but even just Metro Atlanta, you're going to get something small that needs work or that's not updated. And this is for a starter home.
Yeah.
What, just 3 years prior to 2020, I got a starter home for under $145,000. It was $141,000. And it appreciated over $100,000. It appreciated $110,000 in just 5.5 short years. So the way the times have changed in not even 10 years, it actually makes me fearful for the next 10. I don't know where we're going to be. So buy now, ladies and gentlemen. Buy now.
You're going to be in Canada. The rest of us, we're going to be fending for ourselves, trying to, you know, figure out how we going to get our next meal and pay rent, or make the decision on if we can pay rent, can we keep the lights on? And so, yeah, I mean, we'll keep you updated via Telegram because, we can't afford that internet no more. So we'll be trying to make these 50-year mortgage payments.
Hello from Kennedy.
So,
Wow.
yeah, we're just feel like we're going backwards. But I guess that's what they mean by history repeats itself. We're not going backwards. We're going in a circle. We're coming back around to, people having really, really hard times and can't afford nothing. It's like the Great Depression, but just in a different way.
It was interesting because you and I are both millennials, but you and I both, I would like to consider us both practical, very practical people, maybe even in our generation, but I don't know of too many other millennials that aren't as practical as me, However, I read an article that basically said that it's really being pushed to millennials. And this is like the thing that they really want millennials to grasp. But millennials is one of the few generations that, and I think you said this before, we're seeing everything new for what it is, and we also were exposed to the old. So millennials actually, I feel like, would have the most issue with this because we know how good things should be and could be, but we see how things are. We're in that weird space. And so for my parents to have bought their house for $50,000, yeah, it took them 30 years to pay it. But, to do all of that, raise a family of 4, still be able to take family vacations, had federal jobs, we had insurance, we had everything that we needed. We were a very comfortable middle-class family. I don't know how much they were making, but I know that it did not take as much, probably a third then of what it would take now to do the same exact thing. You can't buy a new house or anything decent for $50,000.
No.
Not even for $80,000.
Not even 80,000. Like 100,000 is even a stretch for a fixer. If you're trying to find something that was even a fixer-upper. I remember there was a home that was downtown Atlanta. It was over by Piedmont. And it was sitting on a lot. I was like, oh man, this would be a nice house because the home had vines growing all up in it. And, it really needed some repair. And I was like, okay, you know what? I would like to, if I could, buy that home, renovate it, fix it up. Someone else, I guess, had the exact same idea. They bought that home because I pulled it up in the records and everything. And how much do you think they paid for that home within walking distance from Piedmont Park?
Oh, like $659,999.93.
They paid $900,000 for this home that needed, vines growing up, everything. They paid $900,000, but it didn't stop there. Come to find out, because I had went up to Piedmont a few other times, like over the next couple months or whatever, and saw the progress that was being made. They paid $900,000 for the lot because they tore the house down and built a whole new house on that lot. I'm like, so you paid $900K just for the spot so that you could tear the house down and build up a nicer one right in that place. And I was like, goodness, like. And
notice, ladies and gentlemen, he didn't say for the land. He said for the lot. When I hear lot, I think of something much smaller than some land.
Oh, it was not even a quarter of an acre lot.
I'm sure.
Yeah, not even a quarter of an acre. It was wedged in between 2 other houses, and they paid $900K just for this little rectangular tract that they could put a house on, and the house took up like half of it.
No backyard.
No, you had like a little small fence, and that was it. But yeah, it was ridiculous, and
somebody bought it.
Yeah. Somebody definitely bought it. Somebody definitely bought it. Who got more money than what I have? Because I would not have been buying something for $900,000 just for the land, and it wasn't even no land. It was a lot, but yeah, it wasn't a lot. It was a little.
That's a good one. Dad joke, everybody. Dad joke.
I got dad jokes.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry.
I
I'm
gotta
sorry that
have
this
it.
is what it's come to.
It's something that just happens, you know, when you get kids, it's like they just get endowed with all of these jokes that just, you know, a 7-year-old would find funny. But she understands now. So it's like, oh, this is funny. When she was like 3 and I'm telling these jokes and she's looking at me like, you speak English? And I'm like, oh, okay. But she understands them now. So I'm like, got it. Nice. But yeah, these the housing market, oh, this is one last thing I did want to say. Some of the suggestions that you've seen out there are just different ways of building homes. None of them which I think are great, but you know, time will tell how great they actually are. There's 3D printed homes. You've probably heard of those where, you know, people are, you know, printing the materials and it's cheaper. My thing is, how durable is it? You know, can it withstand the next decade of being beat up by Georgia weather? Or whether
Big bad wolf coming huffing, he'll puffing, he'll blow that house down.
yeah. Or the next time that a tornado comes through whatever state, you know, or whatever city in Oklahoma, you know, can it withstand that? Or the next time a hurricane hits, you know, is it going to look like all the other homes out there? You know, when a hurricane comes through Florida, I mean, or wherever it's coming through, because they can come through the Gulf, it can go up the East Coast and hit North Carolina and South Carolina and everything. So, I mean, you know, how does those new materials hold up? And then there's some other companies that have these homes that they're building that look more like a box. I don't know if you've seen these things. It's like it looks like a storage unit that you live in essentially. And, you know, they're built in a factory and they come and they can just easily put it together on whatever plot of land you want to put it on. And it's like really small and tiny, but it has everything you need to live. And I got 3 kids. We gonna be crammed up in that thing. They like to run around, they like to play, and it's the suggestions I've heard to me have not been any that I am, you know, head over heels about. I feel like we waste enough money in our government where if we actually spent some of that or were a little bit more fiscally responsible with how we utilize government or, you know, taxpayer dollars, I feel like we got enough trees out here, we got enough whatever else where, you know, we could get lumber cheaper because the majority of your house is wood. You know, it's not brick, even if you have a brick house. Most of it's wood because that brick actually gets laid on the outside of a frame. And then inside that frame is wood support, wood beams, wood structures, wooden floors, wooden rafters that are holding up your roof. I mean, most of your house is wood. So I just feel like we could get wood a whole lot cheaper if we were to, I don't know, do something smart other than just argue and keep the government shut down for, you know, about 2 months almost. So, you know, but that's my 2 cents. What do I know? You know, I'm not in politics. I'm just a lowly American citizen. Yeah.
Well, have fun being an American citizen. I'm just glad the Canadians accepted me.
Yep. You know, we tried to get Canada at one point. They were going to be the first state.
Listen, Canada said nope.
Yeah, I think they had a few more colorful words, but yeah, we'll go with the no.
We don't use that type of language here on Greatest Asset Community Podcast.
No, we do not condone such vulgarities, but yeah. Canada was unified over there. Just like for wanting to go down that path. As one would expect they should be. So, you know.
Yeah.
It is. But yeah. I don't know. That's all I got. I mean, more to be seen. I'm hopeful that, you know what, the answers to the housing crisis will be fixed by some innovators that will come up with some, you know, things that will help drive down the cost of housing. I'm hopeful that that will happen. I'm hopeful that, you know, we'll see those answers. And I believe that they're going to come outside of the government. I think it's not going to be a federal government move because they can't even get along long enough to keep their own house open. You know, the government shut down for I don't know how long it was, but it's like y'all can't even keep your own house in order. You're not getting nobody else's house in order. So yeah, those answers are going to have to come from people in the community. And I think that there are enough people that care enough about what goes on in the communities that they live in that, you know what, we can be the change that we want to see. So
we're going to have to be.
Yeah.
We're going to have to be.
And with that, we will see you next week. Tune in on Fridays and Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern time, where I'll be going live. And then Friday, we'll be dropping another episode of Greatest Asset Community Podcast. Till next time, take care. Be blessed. See you next week.